Licensed video games have always had a bad rap, usually a quick cash grab at best. Some games give more effort than they should, but that's usually never the case, thus our hesitance every time one is announced. But no licensed game, nor series, could have surpassed our expectations than the Batman Arkham franchise. When it was announced in the late 2000s, no one thought Arkham Asylum would work. Another Batman game developed by a lesser-known studio just spelled disaster, especially with certain past entries. But come 2009, and our bat brains were blown wide open, and 2 years later, it happened to be even better. The influence of this series can still be felt to this day. Some games designed their combat off the Arkham series. Other heroes tried their hands at the same style, and it even kick-started voice talent into their iconic roles. Roger Craig Smith as Batman, Troy Baker as Joker, and of course, Tara Strong as Harley Quinn. But if the series is known for anything else, it mirrors Kingdom Hearts for having great bosses. And since I just recently finished a playthrough of Arkham Knight on my Twitch, link below, and it happens to be a certain game's 10th anniversary, now's a better time than ever to span the series for my favorite bosses. A few things before we get started. Villains often have multiple bosses spanning the series, so if a villain gets on here, it's only for one fight. So if Black Mask gets on here for Arkham Knight, he can't get on again for Origins Blackgate. Not that he will, I never really liked his bosses. I'll also be adding one boss per game to try and add diversity to the list instead of the 2 games you're expecting will fill the list. Whether combat or stealth, or maybe both, we're looking for fun and blood-pumping bosses worth mentioning. Calibrate your cowls, time to go over my 10 favorite bosses from the Arkham series. While it isn't the game with the weakest bosses, Arkham Asylum isn't the best with them. Most encounters are juiced up mooks with very few standout encounters. You have Scarecrow, which might as well be a special platforming challenge, Croc with a dragged out stealth section, Joker, and the boss to start the list, Poison Ivy. Jacked up on Titan, Ivy takes the Dark Knight head on, first to root deep in the gardens. After avoiding vines that could capture you, you need to time your batarangs just right to deal damage, as you avoid her spores. Deal enough damage, and you can use the gel to break her shield to enter Phase 2, which is similar but just add mooks because it's Arkham Asylum. It's a very simple fight, and at times can feel dragged out, especially on the higher difficulties, hence the bottom of the list. But compared to the other bosses in the game, it's a unique fight that can still be fun to play through. A beautiful rose amongst a field of mutations. If only Batman had a zombie by his side.
Brains.
On second thought, maybe not. Remember when I said Killer Croc's boss at Asylum felt like a drag? Well, thankfully, future games fixed that issue. You have Origins, which was a good intro boss, and thanks to Arkham Knight Season of Infamy, we have the next entry for the list. Teaming up with Nightwing, you need to build your combo meter to attack Croc, as well as deal with the prisoners on the airship. Do enough attacks, and you can hit Croc directly to weaken him enough for the final blow. The fight is a reskin of a previous Night boss, Albert King. Just switch Robin with Nightwing, and a wrestler for what you would think would be a Ninja Turtles villain. Wait. But what puts Croc here is the story scenario around the fight. Croc was experimented on, his limb cut off for research to enhance the airship's guards. While it's true Croc was responsible for countless deaths, you still feel sorry for Croc having to deal with this against his will. Even Cash felt sorry for him. One of the few bosses Arkham Knight got right, but a shame it's locked behind DLC. A warning to tread carefully around the savage beast. Also, side note, I don't like the encounter in Asylum. Just wanted to make that clear. Okay then. Origins Blackgate surprised me with some pretty cool bosses. Despite being the spin-off of the apparent black sheep of the Arkham series, several bosses were actually rather fun, line launching into Joker, stealthing around the Penguin, and this entry, Bronze Tiger. A world-renowned assassin, he was locked in Blackgate Penitentiary, eventually released due to the breakout. After refusing to join Penguin's gang, he was forced to fight in an all-out arena, eventually fending off against the Dark Knight. You can't just punch your way out. Instead, study his moves and counter his attacks. Every 2 hits changes his attack, and after 3 phases, you emerge victorious to chase Penguin down. This is one of the rare cases of a fair fight in the Arkham series. In a way, both fighters have respect for each other, despite Tiger's kill count. No gadgets, no tricks, just a simple fistfight against 2 well-trained competitors. Makes me wish we saw what happened to him at the Blackgate. Maybe time will tell. Although, something tells me a boss like this might show up later. Just a hunch. It's crazy to think we haven't seen 2 bosses fight alongside each other. Sure, most of the time it's a villain backed up by mooks, but it's never 2 villains fighting against you. That was, until the Arkham Knight DLC story, a matter of family. To save a kidnapped Commissioner Gordon, Batgirl and Robin must confront Joker and Harley in the final showdown. Backed up by mooks, honestly you shouldn't be surprised at this point, Joker and Harley won't go down without an actual fight, so you have to multitask clearing the arena and finishing off the criminal duo. It's a straight up fight, no special gimmicks despite similarities to the Croc and Albert King fights. But given that these 2 actually have a decent fight, unless you count Blackgate, I can let it slide so these 2 can make it on the list. Harley will even be protective of Joker and step in his place for as long as she has health to spare. And also yes, part of the reason of the fight here is the classic Harley suit. Yeah, it was about time. I just really like this fight. Not more, not less, no joke in sight. It was a shame the assassin plotline of Origins was hit and miss. By that, I mean it felt underused. Some were missteps like Deadshot and especially Shiva, but some thankfully hit the mark, such as our next entry, coming in hot. I didn't know much about Firefly until Arkham Origins, despite being a villain that premiered in the 50s. But man, did his section of the game leave a big first impression. The bridge is about to explode. Batman sets off to deactivate the final bomb, only to be stopped by the arson himself. It starts similarly to the Clayface fight in Arkham City, where you need to fire your glue grenades to stun Firefly, then pull him down with a Batclaw to lay the beat down. Once halfway done, he realizes the final bomb has been disarmed and wants his frustration taken out on you. Once you platform your way to the second phase, keep pelting him with glue grenades and claw him to finish him off. The scale of this battle is unreal. A bridge and civilians at stake. One of the last attempts left, and the money no longer in anyone's mind. Just the death of the Dark Knight. Tense music behind the brutal brawl, and this fight is worth getting through the game for. Feel the passion ignite in your heart, you're in from a warm reception. Sick burn, bruh. Okay, I'll stop now. One thing many Arkham fans can agree on is that the worst side quests belong to the Prince of Puzzles himself, the Riddler. Needing to clear every riddle, collect every trophy or data pack, it was a mental challenge anyone would dread. But 4 games later, payback felt oh so sweet. After collecting all 243 riddles and finishing the trials, you finally take on the egotistical Quizzer in an attempt to cosplay as Dr. Eggman. You need to team up with Catwoman to take out his robots depending on their color, red for Catwoman and blue for Batman. Clear the robots and Riddler's shield changes color for that character to smack some sense before the next phase. 2 more times and you finally get your oh so sweet payback. Like Joker and Harley, and certain other past entries, I'm sensing a pattern, the fight is simple, but the satisfaction is why the boss is where it is. Sure, City had a humiliating ending for Enigma, but but this puts it all front and center. So much so you'll fist bump the air and shouting, "I'm the goddamn Batman!" The rush, the satisfaction, never has mashing the square button felt so good. No riddle here, this is a great fight for sure. The Scarecrow sequences in Asylum were really cool, but part of me always wished we could fight him directly instead of showing him Kingdom Hearts. Well, I should have known 2 years later, we'd get the chance with Ra's al Ghul in Arkham City. Right off the bat, being able to face off against one of Batman's greatest threats is amazing. Even better, the expectations were met and then some. Near death, Batman has no choice but to use the power of Lazarus to keep him alive. In return, Ra's demands the detective kill him. Of course, we know Batman, and thus, the battle ensues. After surviving desert clones, Ra's creates a force field sending Shoryuken and sword slashes your way. You need to use your new REC to hit Ra's and break his shield. He'll berate you with sword slashes, and damn if this isn't cool! You end the fight, saving Talia from Ra's and taking his ego down a notch. Maybe. The atmosphere is great, foreboding, terrifying, and it feels so good to fight Ra's. You barely got to know him before this, and yet the battle shows the struggle between the two and how their ideologies clash. Part of me wished we had a rematch when he got revealed to be the big bad, but I'll still take the great boss fight we were given. Anything to erase my memory of a certain game he was in. Why must I never forget? Final bosses in the Arkham games are sadly the Achilles heel for Arkham bosses. From a callback to the Batman, to the jacked up tutorial boss, there never seemed to be a final boss that truly stood out. Clayface was fun, but didn't feel like the true final test. Then, we get to Bane from Arkham Origins. With one assassin left, and Joker causing chaos at Blackgate, Batman sets off to the final showdown. Joker and Bane give him the ultimatum. With someone's life on the line, Batman is faced with the greatest challenge. Phase 1 starts like the Venom Bane fight you had before, you needing to ultra stun him at the right moment to cause damage. Make it far enough, and with Lieutenant Gordon's life not on the line, Batman utilizes his new shot gloves to temporarily stop his heart. Beat some mooks, charge the bar, lay the electric smackdown on Bane, and make it to Phase 2, TN1 Bane. With mere minutes before Bane becomes an unstoppable force, Batman needs to use his stealth to chip away at Bane. You need to be clever with your gadgets, as Bane can and will adapt to your strategies to bring him down. Add that to detective mode jammers and the time limit before instant death, and you have a tense stealth boss on top of a great combat boss. Honestly, the final boss surprised me at first, combining elements of why fans love the Arkham series. The combat, the stealth, the characters, it all worked for a great encounter. Given the respect Bane got from Origins, it's one of the reasons I love Origins as much as the other games. It just so happens the next two, I happen to like just a tad more. Before Arkham City, the closest we had to a stealth boss was Scarecrow. What is with me in mentioning him today? But, like I said, you never really fought him. Bosses took more from a combat side of things, and, let's face it, you already know who's up next. Whenever someone talked about the best bosses of the decade, more often than not, Mr. Freeze made the list. But is it overhyped? Absolutely not! This fight is still amazing all these years later. The build-up to the fight is honestly laughable, and the end payoff might as well be a shrug, but damn, the fight itself is brilliant. You need to sneak up on Freeze and use your stealth and gadgets to lure him into a trap and deal damage. But he isn't a scientist for nothing, and will adapt so the same move can't be used twice. You're forced to adapt to new strategies to take him down, and with so many moves to choose from, you'll have fun just from figuring out what to do next. He'll even track your heat signature and send scanning drones as the fight goes on, adding to the panic of bringing this sympathetic refrigerator down. There's not a whole lot more to say. This is the boss I always look forward to the most in Arkham City. You can even argue no stealth boss reached the same quality, not even in a rematch in Origins, while still great, could compare. Freeze is just awesome, and worth the title of one of the best bosses of the decade. But, which boss reached awesome +1? Before we get to it, let's go over honorable mentions. Copperhead from Arkham Origins, a great boss to fit the Mind Warp quota, though it makes me wish we got to know her more besides this encounter. Clayface from Arkham City, a fun fight, but I wish it was more of a final test than just another boss. Using Rich's sword though? Really nice touch. Fitting for his final performance. Professor Pig from Arkham Knight. The creep factor alone gives this guy a mention. Batman's just lucky he can aim the knife so well. Otherwise that kill quota wouldn't be as clean as he wants. Solomon Grundy from Arkham City. What a way to start your boss catalog, testing your wits and your brawn. I look forward to the Penguin Smackdown every time. So satisfying. Joker from Arkham Origins Blackgate. A decent Joker fight and good test of the line launcher of all things, but the one fight per character rule kept this from getting on the list. And finally, Scarecrow from Arkham Knight. This should have been in the main game, a fun race course ending in your dominance over the weakest main villain of the franchise. But of course, it's console exclusive, thus leaving it off the list. Yes, I checked, it's still PS4 exclusive. Such a shame. Such a shame. How is it one of the first bosses you face ends up being the best of the franchise? Well, you might as well ask Slade. When Origins was revealed, I'm pretty sure people weren't hyped for Black Mask or Deadshot. Rather, the man behind the one-eyed mask, Deathstroke. Thanks to Teen Titans, this guy's popularity skyrocketed, and now he gets his chance to shine. Story-wise, not so much, just here. But gameplay-wise? Oh, he delivered and then some. It wouldn't be number one for nothing. It boils down to a true one-on-one brawl. No holds bar, everything on the line. No mooks, no mechanics, just you and Slade hitting and countering everything you got. It's a mirror match in its finest form, but don't think that makes Slade an easy target. He'll even wait for you to make a move, strategizing the best way to take you down. You can attack all you want, but keep calm and adapt, and you'll prove why you're the goddamn Batman! Yes, I said it twice, but it never felt more relevant here. It's a cinematic dessert for the eyes. You feel like you're interacting with a superhero movie as camera shots and special moves flood the battle, and it's just so cool! A great villain, even if underused, a great battle, a pure spectacle, and for me, the best boss of the Arkham franchise. On the PS2 Okay, I'll throw this in. The night boss sucked! There, I said it. Enjoy your bat snacks. Hard to believe Arkham City's 10 years old, but man, what a way to celebrate it. So thank you all so much for joining this video of my top 10 favorite Batman Arkham bosses. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, well, you know what to do. Until then everybody, please stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you next time.